and type ATE at the command prompt to bring up the attribute editor. We are going to connect the data right now. So let's start out with the drawing title, which is this first one up in here. I'm going to select this, and you can see it's a multi-line text. I'm going to enter, and then I'm going to have a blank up here. I'm going to right-click, and remember that sheet description. I'm going to insert field, current sheet description. You see it says civil site plan? I'm going to move to the next line. Right-click, insert field, sheet set custom properties. So current sheet set custom. Remember the numbering, how important it is. 01, drawing name first, non-breaking space, select enter. If anything in there and you leave it blank, as you fill it in for your project, that'll be your sheet name. So let's continue on. ATE for the attribute editor. Our second one would be the project title. So we're going to go to current sheet description again, and you know, this is it can be dynamic text, but we're going to use multi-line text. Insert field, project line 1 or first. Select enter, double click your text, insert field, project line second. And the reason to have the text in there is so your formatting's correct. You want to have text in there to kind of do this. And select OK. Let's continue on. Right click, I'm going to insert field from here. This is the current project milestone. Our date is 12/20. Drawn by and checked by our sheet custom properties. Insert field, current sheet custom, drawn by. Insert field, current sheet custom, checked by. Insert field, drawing scale. Insert field, current sheet set custom. Drawing scale should be right in here. And it's labeled as shown. The drawing number, or current sheet title, right there. So C100. Sheet number, current, these are populated in here. Sheet total, we had to add a sheet total. So this is great because when we do know the number of sheets at the end, we can kind of do that. So current sheet set custom, sheet total. Select OK. And then our revision numbers. Remember we had a 7, A, B, and C. So insert fields. We go 7A. Insert field. 7B. Insert field. 7C. Select OK. Do you see how all of my data is populated within the sheet set? Now I want to save this. I want to save this drawing. This is going to be the beginning of our template to be used because right now this sheet set, the properties in here have a relationship with the properties down in there. If I start changing numbers on the sheet set project or changing names, let's for example, if I go to properties and I start, once I know what my project number is, like my project name, I'll type Autodesk University, sheet sets in the lab. If I know that that's going to be my project number populated throughout my project, if I hit regen, you see it shows up there. I'm going to save those properties to my template file. Therefore, when I do a new drawing, a new sheet, the properties will carry over and be the same throughout the drawing set. In exercise 6, we're going to open up the sheet set in the exercise 6 folder. And what we're going to do in this one is we're actually going to find out where we're going to store our DWT files and our DST files. We're going to separate the two. Even though they still have a relationship, we're going to separate the two and then we're going to reconnect them back together when we start our new project. So what we want to do now is actually detach this. We're going to right click and we're going to remove the sheet. Now, all of what we have done is not lost. It's going to be saved as a template. Remove sheet. Select OK, and the sheet will be removed. I'm going to go back to the actual sheet up in here, so I'm in my sheet. I have my sheet set project here. I'm in my sheet. I'm going to save this to a DWT file. File, save as. Do a DWT down here, drawing template file. This is your default location for your templates, but we're going to save it over in the exercise 6 under template, and we're going to call it AU project. And then what we're going to do is just give it a good description and save all the layers as unreconciled. And select OK. Now you can actually get out of here. We don't really have to. We're going to right click, open up the file location. We're going to find out these two files are they're together right now. So we've got a DWT and a DST. Our drawing file's in there as well. But what we want to do, we want to take these two files and save them to our default template location. How do we know where that's at? That's stored in our profile. Right-click, Options, under Files, under Template Settings. You can see underneath here is where we have the drawing template file location and the sheet set file location. Right now they're in the same location, but what most companies do, they place their templates in a template folder. I'm going to left click this and just hold it and right click and copy. I'm going to cancel out of here. I just need to know where those are at. I'm going to go out to Windows Explorer and I'm going to paste this into the window here and select Enter. This will bring me up the location of all of the templates where AutoCAD is pointing to my templates. Then I'm going to simply go over here, hold on my Control key. I'm going to copy both of these templates into this section over here and drop and replace. You can leave them in here too because they can be for different disciplines, but you'll see they both show up here. So when I select New in our next exercise, we're going to have the ability to take these files that have this relationship built already and create them for a specific project task. We have now completed the template DST file and the template DWT file, drawing template, sheet set template, and they have a relationship, but we've separated them. We've put them in different locations so we can now use the wizard to test out the functionality of these. The application menu, New, Sheet Set, and you're going to see in the wizard, you're going to begin an example sheet set or existing drawings. We're going to select that radio button, and underneath here you're going to see your AU project. We're going to select that as our project. Here's our description and here's our title. I'm going to select Next, and we're going to call this Project 001 or whatever you're comfortable with naming. Give it a good description. That's our default description that's carried over, and let's place this in the Exercise 7 folder as shown. Select OK. We're going to create the hierarchy based on the subsets that we did before, so if you select that, we're going to show that part of it, and then next, you'll see there's the subsets that we created. Some data about the sheet sets. You can take a look at it and select Finish. So now we've created that in our Exercise 7 folder. That is a DST file. Now we need to create our drawing file and actually save it into our folder to start our project. Application menu, New, Drawing. And again, this is going to bring up your default template location. You'll notice how we have AU Project DWT, and there's our title block we created. I'm going to select Open. So we bring up a new drawing using that template. Now this drawing isn't named anything yet, so we're going to save it to the Exercise 7 folder. So we're going to do File, Save As, a Drawing, and we're going to go into Exercise 7, and we're going to name this file Save. Now we actually have both the drawing file and our template file in our project location. I'm going to open that window real quick here to show you. We have Project 001 and then our drawing file. They're not connected yet, but all of the data that's populated in there will be. So the first thing we're going to do is right-click our layout here. There's a couple ways we can do this. I'm going to do Import Layout as a sheet, or we can import the layout as a sheet here. We're simply going to select C100, Import Layout as Sheet. Layouts are sheets. Import checked. I'm getting a warning, but usually that shouldn't happen. And you'll see it imported in there. Now I can move this around anywhere I want. We're just going to move it in here for now, and we're going to check it. So if I do a regen on this, do a regen all, and you're going to see that some of the data populated, C100, the 12/2020. Any of the data that was already in our sheet sets here would be populated. Now if I did my title block, so we have our drawing name first, we'll call this Autodesk University. Just to show you, we don't know the numbers of these yet, but I can change this to 7. And I'm going to do a regen. And you can see that our data is beginning to be populated. And if you get like that in your M text, you can actually define the width of the M text by double clicking it and going into here. And you can change it. It can't be locked if that comes up as a question, but a lot of people like using dtext because of that factor of that changing, but you can manipulate it there. We want to right click the sheet, do a rename and renumber. We're just going to call this will probably be sheet 2 since it's the civil one, and we're going to not prefix it with the site name. We're going to do the sheet title. We're not going to fool around with that. We're going to hit OK, and then we're going to regen again. And if you come down here, this is sheet 2 of 7. Drawn by and checked by aren't done. If I wanted to actually put drawn by and checked by on the actual sheet, I could do my initials here and then say CAD there. Select OK and regenerate, and you see how that data populated. This is where we are going to continue on with our template, and we're going to create page setups. Named page setups and drawings will enable us to take our entire sheet set and print from the template file using a page setup override. We're going to open it up, and we're going to open up our sheet. Make sure all of our data is good to save as a template to be used, all of the properties in here. So we want to make sure we fill out the complete information for the project that can be carried over through the remaining sets of the project. We're just going to use sheet sets in the lab, Autodesk University, and so on and so forth, and they're all linked to the template down here as shown below. Now, the one thing we need to do before we finalize our template is create page setups. A named page setup is a way to tell AutoCAD how you want to print your drawing. Do you want to print it to a PDF, directly to a plotter, to a DWF, or some other format? So what we're going to do is first we're going to save this to the template folder. Even though it's part of our drawing here, we're going to do this as a project-specific template now. So we're going to save it as a DWT. We're going to go over to our exercise 8 folder. Now notice this is our default template, but we want to put this in our project because it's going to be used specifically for our project. So it has data that is not common to universal projects. It's just this specific project. Save it. Yes, if there's one already there, and say my project. Save the layers as unreconciled. We don't want the warning to keep coming up, and select OK. Now what we need to do is do some page setups. I'm going to type page at the command prompt. It's the easiest way to do this. When you can see we already have one in there, let's create 2 more. So let's do new, and we're going to keep the same thing here. We're going to call this 11 by 17 PDF. So it's going to copy the properties of this page setup. We just want this 11 by 17 ANSI B. Make sure all this is checked. Select OK, and you've created a new page setup. Let's create one more for a DWF, or a drawing web format. New, 22 by 34 DWF. We'll do a DWFX so you can view it sort of in an Explorer. Change your plotter up in here to a DWX compatible. You can keep these the same. 34 by 22, select OK, close. Now what we need to do is just save our template. This is where if we have any specific blocks or things like that, but we're going to connect our sheet sets to this. So I'm just simply going to close out of my template file and save it. Now what I want to do is tell AutoCAD where these template files are at, or where we can use it to print. So we're going to right click on my project, properties. The first thing we're going to do is fill out the page setup overrides file. Remember, we're in exercise 8. I'm going to select that. I'm going to go over to exercise 8. Under our template, there's our template file. That's telling AutoCAD that when I run a print, when I publish, it's going to look for the page setups in that file. The second thing we want to do is actually use that same file for our template location. So when you create a new template right in here, same window, exercise 8, we're going to browse, template. So if you create a new sheet, and it's just going to default to C100 because we didn't change the name of that, but if you create a new sheet in your sheet set, it's going to pull from that template. Select that. I want to apply the changes to all the nested subsets within my file, and then you'll see that underneath these, we have now saved our sheet set. We're going to pull page setups there, and how I know this is going to work is I'm going to right click, I'm going to publish, page setup override, and you see there's my options to print. One last housekeeping item to take into account when we're doing our sheet sets. When we do right click, publish, page setup override. We want to manage the PDF settings, the page setups. So we want to tell AutoCAD where to put those PDF files. So we're going to select Browse. We're going to go to the Exercise 8 folder. This could be your project folder and select PDF. Now when you print in the background, those PDF files will be going to that location. We are now on exercise 9. In this exercise, we are going to actually publish our sheets to a PDF or a DWFX, and we're going to talk about the publish collate system variable, with setting it to 1 can enable you to publish the entire package as one PDF or individual PDFs based on the sheet or layout name. We're going to add new sheets first, and then we're going to publish to 2 different formats to show you how this is done. I'm going to open up the sheet set in the exercise 9 folder, and the first thing I'm going to do is click on my sheet C100 to make sure our properties are all set, and you're going to see that all our properties are pretty much populated from what we did in our previous lesson. I'm going to right click and check that my page setup overrides are the same, which is here, publishing the template, and then my sheet set for new drawings templates is located there as well. So we're going to create a new sheet, and then we're going to publish it. So we'll do a new sheet. We'll call this number 2. And then this is the actual file name. So we're going to do 11/18/2020_C102. OK. Let's create another one. New sheet. This would be C103. Keeping the same format as we had for the other one. Select OK. Now, the only differences between the 3 of these is this first one has civil site plan filled in here and no initials yet. We go to the second one, you'll see we created a new sheet for our project. All of the data that's common throughout has carried over, and the sheet changed to 102. We didn't, the sheet numbers 2. The only thing that difference is there. So I can do properties, and I can do civil site plan 2. It would be a different name than this, but you'll get the hint on that one. If I do a regenerate, you see how it's civil site plan 2. This is civil site plan 1, and this one could be civil site plan 3. So you see that all of our drawings are actually populated. I'll put it in here, civil site plan 3. Okay. And you'll see how that changed. So we have all these drawings in here. We've got our template created, so now we know it works. All of this data is continually carried over. The only differences are the sheet properties, which are controlled by each sheet, which is actually the title of it, the description, and the drawn by and the checked by. We didn't fill any of those. The total number of sheets is controlled by the sheet set. Now we want to print or we want to publish, but I want to control it a little bit better. So I'm going to do publish, page setup override. And the reason this is so important is because it puts it in the folder where we want. And remember your PDF publish options. I uncheck layer information. We really don't want to send our clients all these layers for the ability to turn things off. So what I'm going to do is print these 3 sheets. My publish collate system variable is set to 0, which will enable these sheets to be printed individually, 1, 2, and 3, named exactly the way they are. If I set that variable to 1, AutoCAD's going to throw me out to that PDF folder and ask me, what do I want to name my set? It's a compiled set. Publish, page setup override, 11/17 PDF. AutoCAD's going to think about it because we're publishing in the background. You're going to get a warning that says drawings are published in the background. I like leaving this on to let me know that I'm published. So I'm going to hit close, and I can go down here and look at the status of my drawings as they're being printed. Right now, 1 of 3. It is now finished plotting our drawings. The greatest thing about publishing in the background like that is we can continue to work. We can work on these. So let's go out to the folder and see what we printed. We have sheet C100, C102, and 103. You see how they're all separate? We're now back in AutoCAD, and we want to revisit that publish collate system variable. I'm going to start typing it at the command prompt. We had it set to 0. As you know, individual sheets, C100, 102, and 103. If we change that to 1, what that's going to do is make one set, compile it. A lot of operators like that. I'm going to right-click, publish, page setup override, 11/17. And what AutoCAD's going to do is go out to that PDF folder that you designated in your project and ask you where you want this project 001 file. AutoCAD will then compile all 3 of those drawings into one PDF file. Exercise 10, we are going to open up the sheet set in the Exercise 10 folder, and we're going to create a sheet index table. We're going to create 2 separate index tables, one that includes the actual drawing headers or the subsets, and one without, and there's table styles in there to help you along the way. In this exercise, we're going to focus on one of the more important aspects of sheet sets, the sheet index table. As you can see, we have our sheet set completed here with a number of drawings, and each have a title, a name, or a sheet description. But they have no drawing table. I opened up my sheet set. We want one right in this area down here. So if I do properties, and I see that this one is labeled title sheet and drawing index, if I go to under my detail sheet, I can see that this is named site details 1 of 2, and so on and so forth. So what we need to do is actually create a sheet index table. Now, if I select this to create a table, it's just going to create a table based off of that. I need to create beyond the sheet that I'm in, which is this one, the title sheet, and insert a sheet index table. And what you're going to see here is we have 2 separate pre-populated sheet index tables. We're just going to do a separate sheet index right now, but it's missing one. Subsets, we're going to make sure these are all checked except for our working one. We're going to come back here and we're going to add one. We have the sheet number, the sheet title, which is C100. We're going to add a sheet description. I'm going to pull this down, description. You can see some of the fields you can add in there. So those are the 3 instances there, and we will call this drawing index. And select OK, and what's going to happen is AutoCAD's going to actually bring up your entire drawing index, completely referenced to your drawings. If I change the name of a drawing, let's just say we wanted this just to be called drawing index. You'll notice if I resave this, nothing happens. I have to actually touch the sheet set, and the contextual ribbon will come up and download from source, and you see the drawing index changed. If you have a scenario where you have your sheet descriptions, sheet title, and sheet numbers end up being lowercase, you can select the table there, right-click, and it has data format. You can simply change it back to uppercase. We're now going to add another sheet index table, except this time we're going to add these subsets in here, or subheaders as they are called. I'm going to right-click, insert sheet list table the same way, except I'm going to choose, instead of my standard sheet index one, I'm going to choose sheet index subsets, and I'm going to make sure this button is checked. Make sure everything over here is good. Heading text can be the same, formatting, and subsets. Select OK, and it comes in there with the headers. Now we have a little bit of a formatting issue, which we're going to fix that right there. And now that we're on it, let's make sure we put this on the correct layer. Sheet index. And what I like to do is, it obviously doesn't fit, so let's make all of these cells the same height. All I have to do is select that, go to my properties pane, and let's give it a height of 0.35. Select it, and you can see that all of our drawing index is the same. Sheet number, general, civil, details, and architectural. And it's good for our project and moving forward. The one thing I did want to say is anytime you do update this, the only way you're going to update it is you have to either update the properties or you have to download from the source on the contextual ribbon, which is right here. Now within the data set, I'm going to go out here, there's a list file that you can add to your startup, and as long as there's a sheet index table in there, if you go out to the folder, go under list, there's data update and remove SSM. So if I double click this to open it, what this does is it updates the link dynamically. Therefore, when you close the drawing and open the drawing, your sheet index table will update. It will not update unless you add that little list routine or you select your table and do the update, download from source. We are now at exercise 11. In this exercise, we're going to focus on the XREFs in our sheet set. There's a folder named XREFs. There's 2 maps. One map named